So I'm just gonna leave it, pretend it never happened. Hello, I'm Kristen, also known as Voolenvine, here on my YouTube channel, on Instagram, on Ravelry, and pretty much everywhere else on the interwebs. And as always, I'm so happy that you're taking some time out of your day to chat about all the knitting, all the sewing, all the making, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down this week. And this week, it is autumn. It is officially autumn here in Brooklyn, and I could not be happier. This is our season, my friends, my knitters. We can pull out all our woolies in anticipation of cooler weather and get all the sweaters on the needles and make all the warm and woolies. And can you tell I'm excited? Anyway, I'm digressing just a little bit, but yeah, I hope you are excited for cooler weather as well. If you are on this part of the hemisphere of the earth, and yeah, those who are just entering summer, I salute you. Anyway, enough about the weather. I have a lot of fun stuff to share with you this week. I have a finished object, I have a work in progress, I have some sewing to share with you, I have somewhat of a yarn haul, but not quite to share with you. That will all make sense a little bit later in the episode. And I'm trying to think as far as other announcements go. We have our knit-alongs that are happening, the Boxo Socks, the Garment Knit-Along. Those can be found over in the Voolenvine Ravelry group, which if you haven't joined, as always, it's the place to be if you want to partake in the chatter surrounding this vlog, this YouTube channel, and all things Voolenvine yarns, what have you. And then we also have the Practical that is happening, which is a 6-month-long knit-along, make-along, where you make anything that you feel like you'll want to gravitate towards on a regular basis from your wardrobe. Things that are going to go with a lot of stuff in your wardrobe. And yeah, just staples in your wardrobe, basically. And yes, you can knit, you can sew, you can weave, you can spin, anything you desire. If you think it's going to fit into your wardrobe and you're going to want to wear it all the time, then hop on board. So yeah, let's get into what I've been making this week. But first, just a quick word from my lovely and amazing sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes in design, business, tech, and more, even sewing and the fiber arts. I love learning new things when it comes to knitting, sewing, photography, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down. And because I know you love learning new things too, I partnered up with Skillshare and they are offering my viewers 2 months free to try their platform. So give Skillshare a go and learn something new. Just click on the link in the description box below, entering the code at checkout, and enjoy. And thanks, Skillshare. And welcome back. All right, I have a finished object to share with you this week, and as I teased last week, it is a new shawl pattern that I designed, and you guys, I could not be more excited about it. I shared some photos of it yesterday on Instagram, and by the way, thank you so much to everybody who let me know how excited you are for the pattern, and those of you who reached out to me about test knitting. I've since closed openings for test knitters. Thank you so much to everybody who showed an interest in test knitting. And if you did email me, I will get back to you soonly if I haven't already by the time you're watching this. But yeah, here it is. This is my Stoker shawl. It is a triangular shawl inspired by Victorian era fashion. And if you've been watching the podcast, you know what a historical fashion nerd I am. I'm obsessed with Victorian era and Edwardian era fashions, and I listen to all the podcasts, like, Dressed, I watch Bernadette Banner, Kathy Hay, I follow all these historical costume recreators on Instagram. They're so mind-blowing. And in the meantime, if I can't exactly sew my own, historically accurate garment, by golly, I can design a pattern that is inspired by historical era gowns and dresses and all that fun stuff. So yeah, this pattern is inspired by Victorian era bodices that, if you're not familiar, I will try and pop a photo in the sidebar so you can see what I'm talking about. But a lot of the bodices featured, I will stand up so you can see, like a row of buttons going down the center of the bodice, and then these like vertical lines, either like lace inserts or pin tucks, or piping going on either side, going up on either side of the center buttons to create this kind of V shape. And I thought it would be super fun to create that in a triangular shawl, and that's what I did. So I used lots of texture. I used baubles instead of like your traditional center spine that's very simple with increases on either side. I went a little crazy, and I don't know if you can see, but I created a row of baubles going down the center, and then eventually, as you're working, I start to introduce some garter ridges, and then at the end, I have this really pretty leafy lace border. A lot of dresses during that time use like leaf motifs, and I tried to incorporate that in here as well with eyelets. I don't know how you're going to be able to see this, but I kind of close it off so it kind of hugs the last bauble in the strip, and then of course, why not just add a tassel at the bottom, and I have it overlap, as opposed to just dangling from the tip. I just have it overlapping the point of the shawl, just kind of give it that extra texture. So yeah, and here, if you it's totally optional. If you want to leave the tassels out, that's totally fine, but underneath it's just a simple just yarn over increase towards the tip. But yeah, I feel like the tassel adds that extra flair of Victorian style, if you will. And yeah, I'm trying to think what else. And I add tassels on either end as well, so, just for extra decoration. Yeah, so I'm trying to think what else I wanted to say about it. The yarn is also important, is my hand-dyed yarn, Voolenvine yarns on my Smitten DK base, which is a merino nylon cashmere blend. And the colorway is called Fig. And this was a strange brew that I dyed a couple of weeks ago. And I love it. I wasn't sure about making it a regular because it's very, very similar to my Bronte base, which is kind of like a warmer reddish purple, if you will, and this is more cool. However, after knitting it up, I'm just so in love with it. I feel like it's going to go with a lot of stuff in my wardrobe. And a lot of you expressed that you would like to see this in my shop as a regular as well. So, twist my arm, Fig will now become a regular in my shop. So, once this is released, I will of course be offering kits to knit the shawl. It does take quite a lot of yarn. I want to say 3.5 skeins of Smitten DK. So I want to say that if you include the tassels, if you don't include the tassels, I would still go for 4 skeins because you will be running into yarn chicken. I feel like that happened with my Oracle shawl, the pie shawl that I created a while back. There was a lot of yarn chicken involved, so I don't know what, but anyway, the shawl takes up as much yarn as it needs to take up. I feel like you can plan around that stuff, but when you have an idea that you just need to get out there, it's like, all right, it's going to take as much yarn as it needs to take. So it takes about, I want to say 3 whole skeins and then a little bit of a 4th skein. And then, yeah, you have that extra yardage to make the tassels and maybe a smaller project afterwards, because yeah, I definitely have a little bit more than half a skein left after after I finished everything. And yeah, I want to say it's a very intuitive, very simple knit. It looks very intricate and ornate, but yeah, I want to say the whole body is incredibly intuitive. It doesn't require much it doesn't require much attention except when you're working on the baubles. And of course you do have to pay a little bit more attention when you're working on the lace border, but all in all, I want to say it's incredibly intuitive. All the motifs are memorizable when you're working row by row. And yeah, I think that is all I have to say about the shawl right now. And again, thank you so much to everyone who offered to test knit. Again, I will be in touch with you as soon as I can. And thank you to everybody for all your awesome words regarding the shawl pattern. I cannot wait to publish it. I'm aiming for mid-October, so around Rhinebeck time. And hopefully, you guys can get this on your needles in time for winter, when the weather starts to get really chilly. Because you guys, this is seriously such a cozy, warm schlankety-schlanket, and yeah, I'm just so happy that It's on its way to being published right now. So, but I think that is all I want to say about that for now. So yeah, moving along, the next thing on my needles is my Mazzy cardigan. So let me go get that. So yes, here it's still in pieces, my friends. But here's the body. I showed this off last week. The body is done, which is just a giant rectangle of a blob of a rectangle. And then I also have not one, but 2 sleeves. Yay! So last week I just had 1 sleeve to show for, and then now this week I have 2. And I had a slight heart attack the other night when I realized that I forgot to go up a needle size after knitting. I had finished the entire second sleeve, and then I realized I forgot to go up a needle size after knitting the cuff ribbing, because the pattern has you knit the cuff ribbing in a size US 6, and then it has you switch over to a US size 7, which I believe is a 4.5 millimeter. I could be wrong. However, my size 7s were still on the first sleeve, and I forgot to swap it out. So I knit the entire second sleeve in a US 6 4 millimeter needle, and I literally just kind of had my I had a little bit of a meltdown. But after calming down, putting it aside, I looked at everything and I realized my gauge is not that far off. It's not that bad. You really can't tell the difference. So I'm thinking that my gauge must have loosened up or something as I was knitting on this. So I think, if anything, I just had to knit a couple more extra rows and rounds, I should say. And yeah, it's okay. I think it's gonna be fine. The sleeves fit fine. It's almost as if I didn't, I don't know. It's okay. There is little to no difference. I can tell very slightly that there's a little bit less ease in this one, but honestly, if it's not sausage casing and it's not that obvious, I'm not gonna rip back. Yeah, so you really, really can't tell. So I'm just gonna leave it, pretend it never happened, and because it's, a darker color, seriously, again, dark colored yarns, black yarn especially, can hide a multitude of sins when it comes to knitting. This is one of the garments that I'm knitting for the Practical. Again, this is the Mazzy cardigan by Elizabeth Smith, and yeah, this is gonna be a really big staple in my wardrobe. It's just gonna go with everything and everything. And yeah, I'm really excited to have it off the needles. The yarn is Brooklyn Tweed in Shelter, which is worsted weight, in the cast iron colorway. And I'm loving the way it's knitting up. So yeah, progress. Hopefully over the weekend I can put a huge dent in it and maybe possibly have a finished garment to show you next week. No promises, but it could happen. It could very well happen. So yeah, that is all the works in progress I have to share with you this week. And as I mentioned, I have grand plans for a Rhinebeck sweater. As I mentioned, as I was watching the Fruity Knitting podcast, I fell head over heels in love with Andrea's Nightingale pullover, a beautiful pattern by Nora Gone, part of Pom Pom magazines. I believe the issue's already over a year old, but it's easily one of my favorite issues that they ever came out with, and yeah, I realized the time had come to cast on the Nightingale, because that's a pattern that I've been wanting to cast on for a while, just haven't really had the guts to do it. I don't know why, but after seeing Andrea's, I was just like, I have to get it on the needle. So I panic ordered some yarn from Webs. So as I mentioned last week, I am a huge fan of the Fibre Co and their yarns, and I love knitting with them. And I was looking for, the pattern calls for a DK weight yarn. It calls for a worsted weight yarn, and I was going to order Quince & Co.'s Lark line, because the pattern itself is actually knit out of Quince & Co. Lark, but they didn't have a colorway in stock that I really wanted, except for Damson, which I already used to knit the Stonecutter pullover by Michelle Wong a couple years back, and I am seriously one of my favorite colorways and yarns ever to work with. But I figured, all right, I already have a sweater in that. So let me try something else. And I realized Andrea had knit hers out of a DK weight yarn, so I looked on webs and at the Fibre Co's yarn lines, and Lore is a base that I've never worked with before but had been wanting to try. But yeah, haven't found the right project for it. So they actually had some in stock, and I purchased a skein of this. I thought it was gray. Online, I was like, okay, yeah, a really nice heather gray Nightingale pullover would be great. So that was the plan, and when it came in the mail, I realized it wasn't actually gray. It's kind of like a grayish brown, so or like a greenish gray brown, and not, I mean, it's beautiful, but just not what I had in mind for the Nightingale pullover. I feel like I needed something a little bit more moody. So I'm going to return this. They do have a good return policy, so I'm going to return it. And then I also, because I wanted to get this on the needles as quickly as possible, I panic ordered the darker color, which looked like black. So I was like, okay, it'd be really cool to have a black one. But then it arrived in the mail, and it's not quite black. It's more like a dark peacock color. So it's not, yeah, so I again, like, it's beautiful. I'm not a blue color wearing person. I mean, although I'm sure this looks lovely, with my complexion and everything, for some reason I just have a strong allergy to blue. I just can't wear it. I don't know. If it's blue, I cannot wear it. I don't know why. So, but I really do love the color, and I showed it to Dennis when he's going to get a sweater from me. He's going to get a sweater from me. So I'm going to hang on to this yarn, and possibly after Rhinebeck, I'm going to attempt to make him another sweater. I am. I'm going to try. Because I wanted to get the sweater on the needles, there were no other colorways in the Fibre Co. They do have their Cumbria, and then they also have other colors part of their Lure line, but nothing was speaking to me, so I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna cave and get some more Lark, Quince & Co.'s Lark in the Damson color, even though I already knit with it. I will say, I don't really wear my stonecutter as much as I would like to. It's a big cozy sweater, but it doesn't, I don't know, like, the fit isn't, I think it's like the drop shoulders. It's too bulky on me. I mean, it's a little oversized and bulky, and I don't really gravitate towards wearing it as often. For like really cold, chilly days where I just want to chuck something on around the house, I'll wear it, but I really want something that fits really well, that I'm going to want to gravitate towards, and, whatever, what have you. So the mailman just arrived. I had to pause for a second, but look what just came in the mail. So perfect timing. We're going to do an unboxing. So yeah, I ordered more Damson, and let's see. It's so pretty. So yeah, this is going to be my Nightingale. It's going to happen, and I love it. It's very similar. I want to say it's very similar to, just a little bit cooler and grayer, I want to say. Yeah. But anyway, clearly this is like totally right up my alley when it comes to colorways. But this is their Lark line. It's worsted weight, and it's, let me see, 100% American wool. So yeah, I will begin swatching for the Nightingale today, and then focus on finishing my Mazzy cardigan over the weekend and see where we are. Hopefully next week I should have something on the needles to show you with my Nightingale. So yeah, I think that is it for the knitting content. I feel like I'm a little scatterbrained this week. I have just a lot of stuff that I have to share apparently, but and I'm trying to get it all in one concise podcast. But anyway, yeah, so let's move along to sewing. Yeah, so my lovely assistants are behind me, and Edith Headless is wearing my Birds of a Feather shawl, a pattern by Andrea Mowry, using my hand-dyed yarn in the Birds of a Feather, I'm sorry, I Am No Bird colorway. Anyway, but this week I am wearing a finished handmade object, and I will stand up so you can see. I made another modern fantail skirt by Scroop pattern. So this is I want to say it's like a linen chambray. It is by Kaufman. I purchased it from fabric.com. I'll post links in the description box so you can, you know, see for yourself. But yeah, the cool thing about this skirt, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it, but it has this pleated fantail in the back. And the idea is, I'll try and pop a photo in the sidebar so you can see it in all its glory, but the cool thing about the fantail skirt is that it has these pleats that create this really cool fantail in the back of the skirt, and it's inspired by an Edwardian walking skirt. So there are two versions. There's the full-length one that you can make, and then the modern version, which is, this one comes right down below my knee, and it's going to be perfect for fall. So I love the color. It just screams fall, and this is gonna get so much wear. I would have loved to have added pockets, but there's no side seams. It's just 5 gores. So there are 2 seams here, and then 2 seams in the back, and then a seam down the center with an invisible zip. So yeah, there's really no opportunity to insert pockets. I mean, if I were to insert pockets, I would probably have to add like patch pockets on the front, which I don't think really would look that great, although it's totally doable. So yeah, there is my finished project. This came together, I want to say, in about 4 hours. Yeah, it was a really quick make, really simple. Yeah, the trickiest thing are the pleats, but again, like, you know, if you are patient, if you take your time, just line everything up and pin everything together, it's a really, really simple make. Pleats are a no-brainer. I mean, if you can do a dart, you can do a pleat, vice versa. Yeah, it's just really about just being patient, taking your time, and doing everything step by step. And I'm trying to think what else. I want to revisit the Agnes top because, yeah, I feel like having like the puffed sleeve version, because I feel like that would just add so much awesomeness to this skirt, and I need more tops in my handmade wardrobe, because I've been sewing so many skirts over the summer that I feel like I'm seriously lacking in handmade tops. So I definitely want to revisit the Agnes top, a pattern by Tilly and the Buttons. There are many different versions of it, but yeah, again, as I mentioned, I'm going to make the puff sleeve version using, again, green. And yeah, it calls for jersey. So this is jersey fabric, and I'm trying to work more green into my wardrobe, so it'll be cool to have an Agnes top in green. I'm also going to make one in black. And it's a pattern that I purchased a while back, so I already have the pieces cut out. So I think I'm going to be tackling that over the weekend. And I am going to be making my Romana coat, just not immediately, but you know, I think once the weather starts getting a little cooler, I'll start dipping into that. But yeah, so many sewing plans. If you follow me on Pinterest, I already started creating a fall wardrobe board in my Want to Sew thread. So if you want to follow that or get any ideas, definitely check that out. Yeah, so I'm not as active on Pinterest as I am on Instagram. So, but you know, I do use it as just like inspiration mood board type thing. So, you know, if you are into that type of thing, check it out. And the other top that I want to make that is completely Edwardian style is this one, surprisingly by McCall's. And I feel like these tops are coming back in style. I've seen a lot of these tops floating around the internet. I've seen them. I think Topshop has a lot of these in style now. And yeah, I noticed also a couple of independent designers have a lot of similar styles as well. So yeah, I might jump on board this. Maybe not with the big ruffle, because ruffles really aren't my thing, but maybe just this simple lace one, and maybe just a little subtle ruffle at the edge. I'll play around with it. I'll see what happens. But anyway, yeah, living my best Edwardian lifestyle over here. It's wonderful. So anyway, I think that is it for the content of knitting, sewing, spinning. I do have some spinning to share with you this week. As I shared a couple weeks ago, I got my electric eel wheel nano, and that is over here. And yeah, I am so in love with this thing, you guys. I did run into a little bit of a hiccup with this. The motor was stalling out. It just started slowing down, and I could only spin on it for, I want to say, like not even like 5 minutes at a time, and it was really frustrating. So I did contact customer service, and they were really quick about getting back to me. And they gave me a tip. Like, apparently I had to pop, I don't know how well you're gonna see this, but I had to pop this little white disc off and then put some crazy glue on it and pop it back on. But anyway, that seemed to do the trick, and it works like a charm right now. So yeah, I am currently spinning on some classy Squid Fibre Co yarn, fiber that I purchased from her website, and it's in the Illyrian wing colorway, guys. And if you're not familiar, it is inspired by A Court of Thorns and Roses, the series that I am obsessed with by Sarah J. Maas. And if you haven't read it yet, what are you doing with your life? But yeah, I kind of copied Gabby when she showed it off on her podcast. I was like, I need it in my life so hard. So I got some for myself, and I've been spinning it super thin. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but it's like this dark chocolate brown with flecks of yellow and red, and a little bit out of my comfort zone, but then there's like all this multicolored stellina in there, and it is so pretty, so pretty. And I do have a tale of woe, because I remember the last time I showed, yeah, so I had finished spinning some hobbledehoy fiber that I purchased a while back, and so unfortunately hobbledehoy is no more, which is very, very sad, because she was a very, very talented fiber artist. But still, you know, I have some of her stuff in my stash that I look forward to spinning with and working with. But this last thing that I spun on there turned into yarn barf, guys. I finished spinning it, I soaked it, and it was all looking great and beautiful, and then I thwacked it, and then I realized, crap, I did not tie it. Once you're done spinning a project, and you wind it off onto a nitty-knotty, tie it in a bunch of different places to keep everything from tangling, because that's what happened here. And I'm sure if I sat down with this and just went through it, I can't even find the part where I first tied it. I don't know if it's when I thwacked it that it just came undone or what have you, but it's no more, and I'm so sad because it's just super soft, and it would have been lovely to knit with, just, you know, like held together with another yarn or something to marl it, or I don't know, what have you. But maybe I'll sit down and try and untangle it. I don't know, but at this point it's looking like I did try at some point, but it seems pretty impossible right now. But it kind of reminds me, you know, those Sesame Street characters, the aliens, where they go yip 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 yip. I digress. Anyway, that is my tale of woe for spinning, but I have another project on the go, and I'm very excited about it, and I love my electric eel wheel nano. Of course, I will link to where you can get yours if you're in the market for it, down below. Again, not a sponsor, just a fan. So that said, I'm going to move along into the BLATHER segment of the episode, where I chat about what's been happening in my life. But just a quick word about my shop update, which is happening tomorrow, Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope you can make it. And as always, if you want to stay in the loop about what's happening in my shop regarding shop updates, what colorways, what bases, pattern release news, and all news surrounding Voolenvine yarns, hop on over to my website, enter your email, and after clicking on the newsletter link, of course, and every week I send out a newsletter letting you know what the dealio is. Did I just say dealio? Yes, I did. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm gonna move along to life stuff. And yeah, so what's been happening in my life? I finished watching Carnival Row, and oh my gosh, you guys, it is amazeballs. I love that show so much, and I can't believe it's only 8 episodes. 8 episodes. Who puts out 8 episodes? There needs to be more. I cannot wait for the next season. So anyway, thank you so much to everybody who recommended that series to me. It is really, really fun. Yeah, now it's like, what do I watch? What do I do with myself? Now that I have no more Carnival Row to watch. Now that I handled all that fiber, my nose is itching like crazy again. Yay. So yeah, I think I have to catch up on Harlots. That's on, I think that streams on Hulu. So I watched the first season. I think they're into the third season now. I have no idea. I'm so behind on it. So I guess I can watch that. And then Poldark is coming up, the final season, which I'm gonna be so sad about. I love Poldark. So I'm going to be watching that as well. And then I did start listening to a new audiobook. It's called The Cruel Prince by, I'm totally blanking on the name, but I will put it in the down bar. And it was recommended to me, and I don't know if I'm really on board with it. I did read a couple of reviews on Goodreads. Apparently it does have a slow start. It's another fantasy / young adult, kind of in the same vein as A Court of Thorns and Roses. Lots of world building and all that good stuff. However, I'm already like about 5 hours into listening to the audiobook, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not sucked in yet, but going by the reviews, I hear it takes a little time for it to pick up and does like a 180 at the end. So I'm holding on to that. I'm sticking it out. I'm seeing where it goes. And yeah, I heard the second and third books are really good. So we'll see where that takes me. But yeah, that's what I've been watching and listening to as of late. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah. Lots of sewing plans for this weekend. I have to clean my craft room. I don't know how I clean it, and then by the end of the day, it's just everything is everywhere, and I have too much stuff. I need a place for things. I think I need more. I have a lot of shelves. I have cubby holes here, and why do... I don't know. I need solutions. I need solutions, people. Anyway, yeah, I've definitely got to tidy up again and start cleaning up after myself. If I'm done with something, I think it's as simple as that. Once I'm done with something, just put it away, Kristen. Just put it away. But no, I just happen to leave things out. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. If you've made it this far, as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like and subscribe below. I put out an episode, or try to put out an episode every Friday for your viewing pleasure. And as always, happy knitting, happy sewing, happy making, and I will see you next time. Bye!